Game. It's recording.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening.
Yes.
Welcome to this show. This is between Jun and Paul Show and the Karating Garahit twins.
June!
Hey,
Paul!
Karating Rahe, the
And
twins.
Karating Garahit.
Anthony,
And Anthony!
Yes.
our fighter,
Frontline fighter!
frontline fighter.
He's a commentator
So,
now, but he's willing to fight anyone.
Patay! Right out of the gate!
For a prize, of course, for a prize.
Okay.
Kamot na!
Go
okay,
ahead,
so
Anthony. You get the floor.
yeah, so to start ahead with the show, I would like to ask each guest on this show what is JP and Karating Garahit is all about.
Okay, Karating Grahe first! Go ahead!
Okay, Hubert. Take the floor, Hubert.
Hindi, parating garahe dahil kasi
English, Hubert. English.
English pala, English.
Ah, English.
Hindi pala Englog. No, we call the show Karating Garahe because although we did practice formally in an organization, we started out when we were younger, learning from here in the Philippines back in the 70s. There used to be a itinerant martial arts instructor who would walk around the village bringing their gi and just giving calling cards. Some of them would be policemen sidelining, teaching the neighborhood kids martial arts, and we would practice in the garage. Then eventually, even while we're in the what do you call this club, most of the things that we really learned deeply was training by ourselves in our garage and with friends in the garage and with other martial artists. I noticed we always train in the garage. So we are a big believer in generic karate, meaning to say we don't have a style. We pick what we think is useful for us, and we are not bound by the belt. So we said, okay, let's not pretend to be any style because we don't want any what do you call this, false claims. We just called it Karating Garahe.
Plus, we couldn't afford a dojo.
We could not afford dojo.
You have uniform.
But seriously speaking, just to add a little bit, originally, before karate was made public or before it was introduced to the public, actual karate was always practiced one-on-one, literally on the backyard or the garage. So we were going back to the roots of karate. Anyway, that's it. Jun and Paul. What's Jun and Paul Show?
Okay, go Paul!
Yeah.
Go Paul!
Hey, the show starts with your name, bro. You start.
Sabi ko na nga, yun ang rason eh. Uh, well, for on my perspective, Kuya Paul and I come from different perspectives of the show, but together it just kind of works out. Pero really, how it came about was that first of all, Kuya Paul and I, we train together a lot. We almost became Jun and Paul in the garage.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of garage, but in the garage, there's a lot of dialogue and discussions that he and I have. A lot of behind the scenes within different FMA communities. A lot of history and basically a lot of dialogue that I know a lot of practitioners really want to hear or would like to hear anyway. And between the two of us, I'm like, you know what, that was a great conversation, and we should kind of share this. That was one, and two, who wouldn't want to hang out with Jun and Paul? So it was almost hanging out with Jun and Paul in the garage, but then we're like, no, you know what, having drinks with Jun and Paul, because a lot of times after training we're having drinks. But then the option came out to be we might be promoting drinking. So we're like, no, that's not the right one. So we just said, you know what, we're just gonna go ahead and call it the Jun and Paul Show, and that's how it really kind of came about, the Jun and Paul Show, in terms of the name. Now, what we wanted to kind of do and convey was highlight the different practitioners and within FMA was originally the thought, but then as we had continued dialogue, we figured out that the scope was a lot broader. Our connectivity and network and community was a lot broader within the martial arts community, within the self-defense community, within just the community overall. So we made it a little bit more general from there. So that's my perspective and my insights into now sharing a little bit of self-defense and different martial artists, highlighting different instructors and whatnots, and still adding our flavor to it. Paul, your side.
Well, my side is basically almost the same as June. I mean, we hang out almost every time we meet each other. We practice.
Yeah.
With dialogues and discussions on techniques and concepts and whatnot.
Yeah, but by the way, let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to add, when we say we hang out, because people say, oh, you're right next door or something. Paul lives in the west coast of Florida. I live in the east coast of Florida. We're about two and a half hours apart. So when we say hang out, it's not just like, hey, we just show up the next day. We actually have to plan accordingly to our schedules and everything. Yeah. But we've been fortunate to be able to meet up more than a few times a month. But anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no worries. So basically what happened was at first we're contemplating on just FMA, but I told June, I have so many backgrounds that the concept carries over to other arts. So why don't we just do it in a general sense? So that's why our first show became FMA, which is force is equals to mass times acceleration.
Yeah.
Correct. So it was a big joke for us, but our show, basically, we don't plan anything. We just go, we're going to videotape right now, and whatever shows up, whatever's going to come out.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a variety show, right?
Pretty much it's turning out to be kind of a variety show, but it's one of those things. I think that we're developing our identity and kind of really our niche overall, which is a little bit broad, but at the same time very specific. But I want to throw some credit to Karate Garahe to help getting us initiated, because Paul and I were always having the discussions and saying, hey, you know what, we need to come up with this, and then we start coming up with a grand scheme of plan on how we're going to do it, and then you guys were like, look, you guys just need to jump in and do it. So our very first episode wasn't actually an episode, it was a live stream. And we said, hey, you know what, let's make an announcement. And the live stream ended up becoming a full-on episode.
Nice.
And then we recorded another episode, and we watched the live stream, and we're like, wait a minute, that's actually an episode in itself. Let's go ahead and upload that too.
That's nice.
To add something on that, okay, so the viewers know, our mentors is actually Karate Grahe. So we're just going to make that straight, okay? Our mentors are Karate Grahe. So they're the one who pushed us and told us that, hey, you guys can do this. Actually, Henry took an effort to teach us, like, for a session on how to do film and how to spin, which is great, and now we're still following Karate Grind. So
yeah, we're just waiting for them to start editing for us, and I think we should
yeah, but can I give you another suggestion?
Yeah.
Your original concept where you're drinking, you could have mini, you could have different segments. Drinking sessions. You're talking about, let's say, Tanduay Ram.
The
Famous Filipino alcohol.
Yeah, we can do that.
We can do that. I'm just worried about what might come out.
Yeah. Those are for sponsored. Yeah.
We did have a live session. We did have a live session when one of our sponsors, one of June's students, gave us some wine.
Oh,
Nice.
We actually were drunk.
what episode was that? I don't think I saw that.
That was
There
a
was no
live.
episode. It was a live stream. And actually, one of my fellow Hirosa practitioner, one of our fellow instructors, we had a challenge when I was drunk already to do 50 non-stop push-up.
Oh, that started. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Tony, are we addressing your question?
Yeah,
You're a
I think
little bit
so.
quiet there.
Yes.
Because
We
uh, good
we
for
lost
you,
our
you have a garage there. But on my side, I only practice in kitchen. So when I got hungry after
Es-
training, I eat. Okay.
Eskrima Kitchen. Yeah.
Ayan.
So basically, we're talking about this stuff, and thank you for sharing your view and perspective on your show. So just to ask, do we have the disclaimer maybe on this show because this is based on our opinion. Okay,
Yes.
so basically, this show is just to present our view, how we understand this particular topic that we are going to discuss later. So, are we going to start for the first topic, guys?
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
in charge,
Yeah.
bro.
But yeah, let me.
You're in charge.
Can I just add something? Okay, these are just personal views, but if you wish to challenge us, you have to fight Anthony.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
napapakaamang ako doon sa ginagawa.
He
Yes.
is our host. He is our frontline fighter.
Yes. Our champion. Maybe we should Anthony, maybe we should tell them the name of our group.
Our group.
Yes.
It's a secret
Sabsay.
Para,
Sabsay tayo dyan.
It's
no, no, no.
we're coming out. It's actually an ancient brotherhood in the Philippines
It will be
under
live,
the
guys.
Tagalog name,
It's live.
Samahan ng mga poging martial artists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we going to start now, guys?
Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go
Sure.
ahead. Go ahead.
So, based on our last discussion during our collaboration, these are the topics that we have would like to talk about. Okay, so first is the art and system succession. So
Yeah.
basically, the question is, how do you know that this particular system will be led by this particular person? So I want to ask you
Mm.
guys, based on your opinion and perspective, what should be the characteristic or the value of that successor on that particular system? We're not talking about any system here. So we base
dapat
this
pogi.
is only yeah,
Mm.
yeah. This is only based on your views.
Can
Okay,
can
so
I yeah. Can I give a background about the question? Because I was the one who proposed that question. It came out of an interview with GM Renette Tongson. Shout out GM. Because
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about the problems of succession, which is not just a problem here in the Philippines, not just a FMA problem. It's actually a problem even among other Asian styles. But it's more problematic here in the Philippines because we never had a real formal. It's not like, for example, the Japanese and Chinese. Culturally, they had a formal way of succession. Whereas in the Philippines,
Ancestors.
yeah, whereas in the Philippines, I noticed since our martial arts were still secretive up to I think 1960s or 70s, it was still a functioning martial art, and it was still hidden within the families or just small communities. I noticed that there's no such thing as a formal succession, and I noticed that things change when it becomes public, when the style grows and money is involved already. I noticed that even amongst particular styles, which I won't mention, the problem uh, the problem starts when the founder dies. So it's just a question of how do you think things should be organized, or how do you think what are the models that you see that can work for FMA systems to formalize succession? I guess that's it. That's my question actually. So, June, can you talk about
Go
that?
ahead, Tony.
Go ahead.
Answer the question.
I am the host, man.
He's just a fighter, okay?
Okay, Mr. Hubert, you please proceed.
Actually, I don't. I may have an opinion, but the thing is, I'm also curious about the question because although I was a member of a uh, karate organization, the succession part is clear. So I'm curious about the and my situation being that right now, what we do, what Henry and I do, we don't have a club. We have no intention of putting up a club. So it never really crossed my mind about succession. I did observe that the best organizations, like I think even corporate organizations or family-owned corporations, I think the simplest solution would be for the founder to designate the successor before he dies. The
Yes.
problem would be if he dies, but there's no succession map.
Well, let
That's
me
going to be
let
the
me
problem.
Okay, go
let me
ahead.
add something on that. See, it happened to our group in Hirosa de Cuerdas when GMO had passed away. We know he was sick already 2 or 3 years prior to his passing. Uh, we tried to talk to him about succession, but he never want to talk about it. All he wants to talk about was, you guys better hold your ground, hold your style,
Exactly.
defend whatever, and that's basically what his focus is, trying to make sure that us who's going to get left behind will be able to handle the art and will be able to promote it in a way wherein it's the right style or right decision or right way of teaching it, I guess. Um, so actually what happened to us when he got sick last year, we were all worried because there's no succession. I mean, luckily our group is a closed group because he's picking, or he's very picky on who he teach the art. There's a selected few. There's probably only 7 of us. Out of the 7, we are allowed to teach outside of our group, but the tight niche is out of that 7, wherein he handed out specific stuff for every person. So when he's about to pass out, one of our fellow instructor, Don, went to Mangtini, GM, uh, Maestro. He's one of the people that helped us. He actually drafted and wrote the succession of Hirosa de Cuerdas. So it's actually on paper. So we know what rank we hold, we know what position we hold on paper. Okay. Now, the question is, that's only on paper, but in reality, on the back end of it, we have other ways of knowing who's who. I mean, in a particular art, I can be appointed as, let's say, they appoint me as GM, but my skill set is not the same as another guy. We know that on teaching, we need to go to this guy, not me,
Yeah.
even though I'm GM. So I think that's understood within the organization. And luckily, the 7 that was handed the responsibility, we all get along. We actually help each other out, and we are ironing everything that needs to be done to make it uh, right, so people don't get confused on what really who's in charge. I hopefully I answered that question.
So does it mean that you guys are part of a group, but you're also independent of each other, or what I meant was there's no single supreme leader or GM.
Well, I was given basically autonomy to do whatever I want,
Yeah, yeah,
but this is what people don't understand. The reason why I did approach Karating Grahe a long time ago. I mean, So people who knows what's happening here, I approached Karating Grahe because I need their help. Long time, about 5 years ago. It's because I cannot disrespect my instructor. And whoever's practiced before me, I still give them the respect. So before I do anything here in the US, I always ask them, is this okay? I mean, this
Yeah.
is this is within, I guess, the boundaries of we're family. I
Yeah.
need to ask permission, right? Even though, let's say I'm older than them, I still have to ask them because they're older in practicing the art,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So
Okay.
that's the respect I give to them. At the same token, I also give them respect that if it's sparring, let's say we spar, I'm gonna try my best to knock their head out because that's what Tito Uwit wants.
Okay.
He wants us to be better than what we are before.
I sorry, no. This thing will end in 10 minutes. Do you want me to? I'll
Let's
ano yung ko ulit, ulitin ko ulit. Let's leave first. I'll end
no,
this session first.
let's just go.
Yes.
Let's keep going until
Tapos
time's up.
Henry, pasalitain mo si
Okay.
Jun pagkatapos.
Hindi, yun nga. Hindi, inaano ko lang dahil matatapos na eh. Okay, basta pag natapos, maglalagay ulit ako ng bagong link. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for in our organization in Sabara Balintawak, there's actually a succession plan that GM has created and set up, and no particular lead, but more of a council of full qualified instructors. All of their full qualified instructor is basically the full council of fellowship of basically kind of making the key points there. Um, that's kind of where the direction has gone. I actually need to go review the actual affidavit that went out as it was sent out, I believe, a couple of years ago. Prior to my I guess exploring that component. But yeah, but that's kind of the plan, the general plan that's been set up. In the other styles that I know of, I don't think there was any succession plans that were in place. And if there was, that maybe I didn't have too much insights to it. But I know that there's always one person that they try to make lead, but whether or not the full organization follows that is a whole nother component. As Kirpal was saying about the aspect of paying tribute to your instructors and past instructors. The big question is, depending on who's taking lead as well, do they even put that respect and credibility to their instructors? Because a lot of them are trying to make a name for themselves and start eliminating the lineage. So there's that component as well. And then when you start creating your own, there's a big question of, well, are they from here or are they from there, and a lot gets lost in translation, I guess. So there's still a lot of confusion per se. It just depends on which organization you look into and which the character of the individual as to their intentions of promoting either themselves, the art, or whatnot.
Well, I can add something on that. Again, my situation, we left Tacosa Sarada Eskrima. And now the question now is, do I keep mentioning Tacosa as my lineage? Because we left his organization long time ago. But for me, out of respect, I got my instructorship under him. However I put it, I am connected with him. In the organization or outside the organization, I have to mention his name. Now, the question that is asked right now, since I am by myself or my family's, do I call it now Rosales Sarada Eskrima?
Oh yeah.
So now the question now is, who is Rosales Sarada Eskrima? Even though my lineage is very good, it puts a big question mark. Is it appropriate or is it not? Up to now, I think if I want to make money, maybe popularity, maybe, but that's not my goal. My goal is I always respect the lineage.
Yeah.
So
And
that's a particular problem that even Hubert is also, di ba Hubert? Okay,
Si
since we,
Anthony might also
oh,
have an
sorry, sorry.
opinion.
Oh yeah,
And,
because
yeah.
Also, I'm
basically on
hosting.
yeah,
yeah,
Mr. Tony, please.
Paano
okay,
nawala?
thank you.
Nawala siya sa view.
Yeah, thank you for the so basically mostly system, right? There's a bloodline. So do we need to consider that bloodline on that particular
Hmm.
system for it to be continue to retain on the FMA world?
What is
Are we looking on
to,
the bloodline, skill set, or the leadership value? What do you think about that?
what do you first Tony, because you're still part of the tradition eh. Traditionally, what is let me give the question back to you. What is the
Uh,
traditional culture?
this is my understanding for us. It's all about respect to whom the group respect, to whom it's not mostly on the skill, on the it's how respect. It's all respect.
Mm,
So in a group, if all majority of the group respect that person, maybe he can lead that particular system or organization within our system. So
Hmm.
you will notice, I call our system Paitre Arnis, that's just to generalize the art that we have. So it's not on the based on the last name, based on a new name that they will create, but basically on our group, it's all about to whom we respected the most. That may be
mm.
our priority who will handle the the group,
So,
the
so
system.
character as yung character ng tao, yun
Yeah.
ang tinitingnan. That's what you take a look at, the character of the person, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Uh,
on the other side of the coin, though, I mean, as I mean, everybody in martial arts, I mean, they mention this. Once you learn the art, is yours.
hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
another thing that we have to think about. I mean,
Hmm.
what I've learned or what I sacrificed to learn from the masters is now mine. Nobody can take it away. So now I can make, let's say, antukin ako,
Yeah.
kali, screama. Am I violating? Maybe because maybe if I don't mention who taught me, that will be a violation.
Hmm.
But I think making another name of it, I think it's acceptable as long as you acknowledge where you came from and you can say this is my
Agree.
style now, not my master style. So I guess you're forming now an old style versus your
Yeah.
style, you know.
Yeah. If you
And luckily,
change,
Yeah.
if you
correct. You
change
can't.
something, if you change something, di ba, it's already your style. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, luckily for us in Hirosa de Cuerdas, there's no problem of old and new because we are encouraged by the Tito Uwit to always change and always
Adapt.
adapt to the new situation. So actually, if you asked us some of the techniques or concept that we did, they probably did during the 80s are I don't want to say garbage, but we don't practice it anymore
By the
because
way, 2 minutes na lang tayo ah.
yeah, the reason for that is maybe GMO it understood there's a counter for it, so he needs to find another counter to it. So it's always that progress of moving forward, not getting stuck in place.
Nice.
Yeah.
So 1 minute left.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on my side within the lineage and I guess credibility and due, one of the things that I really appreciate within the Tabora Balintawak group, GM Bobby always asks within almost each student, and it's almost a requirement for testing is knowing your lineage. Who is your instructor and how did the art get to you? And even within my student base, it's always I always give them the lineage. Okay, you're learning from me, and here's, then it's Grandmaster George, Grandmaster Bobby, then Anton Bakon, and basically kind of going from there. Even when G and Bobby meets a new student, it's always a who's your instructor? Who's your instructor? I think it's going to be based on leadership, on how you pay homage to your instructors. If they put high credibility and importance to who your instructor is, then I think everybody kind of follows within that. If they
And it
don't,
goes back.
Okay,
Sorry, it goes
mapuputol na.
back to the realm of the good morals that a martial art should teach to the students. Sometimes this gets lost because of everybody just want to fight and train to fight. They
right.
lost the essence of discipline and respect and morals and etiquette and whatnot.
Hey, but I took 2 hours